fun to show y'all how to make black royal icing using this stuff, Jeannie's Dream Infinitely Black Cocoa #1. Okay, so there's 2 cocoa powders from Jeannie up in my shop at GanacheShop.com. This is the Ultra Dark Cocoa Blend #3. This is the one that I really like to use for baking, so you'll see me use this, like for example in my red velvet recipe that is up on the blog. But this one is fantastic for making black royal icing. Okay, so I'm gonna have you take a peek in there. You'll see how dark and beautiful that cocoa powder is. If you've been cooking for a while, you've probably run into the bleeding issue where you have to add a ton of black food coloring to get your royal icing black, and then it ends up bleeding into your white and your other colors and creates a big mess. But with this method, you can add a little bit of the infinitely black cocoa powder in unison with a little bit of the super black. I like Americolor. This is my favorite brand of food coloring. And get a quick, beautiful black royal icing without having to worry about the aftertaste of the food coloring or the bleeding issues arising. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this royal that I just made down to a good consistency for stenciling, because I'm working on some paint your own cookies today. And then I'll show you how to add this and this to get beautiful black icing. Alright, so that's the consistency I like for stenciling. It's thick, but just thin enough to look a little bit glossy and have some movement, okay? So it's not a stiff peak, but it does hold well in those stencil shapes without bleeding underneath the stencil areas. Alright, so let's go ahead and make this black. So as you can see, you just need a little bit of that cocoa powder. I usually just start with a little bit. It does have a really deep dark chocolate flavor, so you don't want to add too much. It's always good measure to taste it just to make sure you're not going too far. I'm gonna go ahead, and this is a really nice kind of brownish color too, like a charcoal brown. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more. So now that I've achieved that brown color, dark brown, I'm gonna go ahead and add some black. And as you'll see, I don't have to add near as much. Just adding 2 drops. We'll see how dark that gets it. Alright, so as you can see, I'm just adjusting as need be. If I needed to add a little bit more cocoa powder, I definitely don't want to overdo it with the food coloring. I'm trying to avoid adding too much. So 1 more drop. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop. It is a dark charcoal gray, but if I let this sit on the counter for about an hour, that color is going to develop, and it's going to be a beautiful, nice, dark black, ready to pipe. Okay? So I invite you to try this technique out. Let me know how it works for you, and if you need to get yourself some of this amazing product, once again, you can grab it from my shop at GanacheShop.com. Use coupon code YouTube10 for 10% off your first order. All right?